Hey, welcome back. Hello. We are now back with Moses and Joshua. Moses won't be with us for much longer, but Joshua. So, back with the Israelites, lessons to be learned from there. What we see as constant mistakes, but constant learning points, okay? So when Moses died, he left Joshua in charge of God's people. Joshua was now leading all the Israelites. And when they were about to cross the Jordan River to go into the land God had promised to give them, how do you think Joshua felt about being the new leader? Yeah, that can be kind of scary, overwhelming, but God's good. So, if God's good, then the plan he has for us is also good. So before the Israelites did anything, Joshua wanted to know what was going on in and around Jericho, the very first city they would come to once they crossed the Jordan River. So Joshua asked two of his most trusted men to go on a secret mission into Jericho, spies. These men were to spy on the city and come back and tell him what they saw. You ever had to spy on something before? Or have you spied on something before? Maybe it wouldn't necessarily. You had to. You just did. It can be fun, but it can also be dangerous. So the two men set off for Jericho. There was a strong wall that surrounded the city. In fact, it was so thick and strong that houses were built right into the wall. That's pretty big. The spies soon found their way to one of the houses built into the wall, the house of a woman named Rahab. Rahab knew that the men were Israelites, but she let them in anyway. The people of Jericho were not terribly fond of the Israelites. Maybe the spies thought they would be safe in Rahab's house, but someone knew that the spies had gone into her house, and the news about it got back to the king of Jericho. Uh-oh. Just after sunset, when it was time to shut the city gates, guards from the king came to Rahab. They were probably big, scary guards. They guarded the king, so they had to be very capable. And there was probably a lot of them. But by the time they knocked on Rahab's door, Rahab had already hidden the spies, the Israelite spies. The two men were on the roof of Rahab's house, hidden underneath piles of flax plants. Rahab's actions took a lot of courage because she knew that the king of Jericho if the king of Jericho found out that she was helping the spies, you could be in big trouble. Yeah, so the guard said to Rahab, "Hey, we're here for the spies. Bring them out to us." And if you had been Rahab, what would you have said? You're approached by very big, dangerous-looking people, and they're like, "We know you have the spies. Bring them out right now." Well, Rahab answered the guards, "Yes, the men came to me, but I don't know where they came from, and they left at dusk. I don't know which way they went, but you better go after them quickly. You might catch up with them." So she gave them the old loop-de-loop. The guards went out of the city, and the gate shut behind them, and they started down the dark road toward the river. After all, they probably expected to find the two spies trying to get back to the far side of the Jordan. Rahab pulled the old 1-2 trickaroo. All right, they never even saw it coming. So Rahab shut the door, and she probably sighed with relief. The guards were finally gone. Now she really needed to talk to the two men up on her roof. Rahab went to the roof, and what do you think she said to the spies? Well, here's what she said. She said, "When we heard about it, we were terrified because of you. We aren't brave anymore. The Lord, your God, is the God who rules in heaven above and on earth below." So Rahab told the men, "I know that the Lord has given you this land. Jericho is basically already yours. Your God is super, super omega awesome, and we know that he's given you this land." In fact, everyone here is very afraid because we knew you were coming. We've heard how the Lord dried up the Red Sea and how you have defeated many great kings. We know your God is the God in heaven and on earth. So I ask you to please promise me that when you take over, you'll protect my family. Well, Rahab helped them. So they were like, "Yes, we will protect you and your family." If you don't tell anyone what we're doing, we'll treat your family kindly when the Lord gives us this land." They also asked Rahab to hang a bright red cord, or like a rope, from her window. That way, Rahab and her family would be easy to identify and find. Rahab let the men down from her high window with a rope, and they landed safely on the ground outside the wall. Then she tied a red cord in her window. The two spies went into the hills and hid for 3 days so that no one would track them down. Right, the guards were still looking for them. Then they returned to Joshua and told him all that had happened. They told Joshua, "The Lord has surely given us the whole land. All the people are afraid of us." Joshua listened, and he knew it was time to move in to Jericho. Okay, nice. So, when Rahab heard about God and his awesome power, she chose to believe and trust him. The red cord Rahab hung from her window showed that she trusted God with her life. And you know, we can choose to believe and trust in God too. When we listen to and read Bible stories, we know even more about God's great power. When we see God's power, we can tell others about the great things God has done. And you are given, pretty much all throughout your life, you will have opportunities to tell people about the wonderful things God has done. And I encourage you to take those opportunities, because that could be the point at which, the person was waiting to hear good news about God to start believing in him. And that could be the work God has put in front of you. Awesome. Find out next week what happens to Jericho and the Israelites. I will see you next time.